The government is planning changes to your ISA allowance, and if you have built up serious wealth in these products, these changes could matter more than you think. In this video, we'll explain what we know so far about the proposed ISA reforms, why the government is doing it, and most importantly, what you should do about it to protect your money. Because let's face it, holding too much cash might feel safe, but inflation, tax, and bank risks say otherwise. But just before we start today's video, I just want to make a quick announcement about the Regold Wealth Club. This is a subscription service for those of you who are perhaps looking for financial advice, but you're quite comfortable managing a lot of this work on your own, but you might need some guidance. So in the service, I provide guidance around key topics such as global equity investing, investing in property, gold, Bitcoin, and best practices around planning your pension withdrawals and tax planning. So I'll pop a link into the comments below, have a look and check it out. So let's begin with what's actually happening. In spring 2024, the government published a consultation paper titled ISA Reform for a Simple, Modern, Tax-Efficient Savings System. And the goal? To make the ISA system more efficient and better aligned with the government's economic goals. One early proposal was to introduce a British ISA, offering an additional £5,000 allowance, but only if you invested in UK-listed companies. However, following significant feedback from the investment industry, that idea has since been shelved and is no longer being pursued. What is still under active consideration is a change to how much of your ISA allowance can be held in cash. At present, every UK adult can save or invest up to £20,000 per tax year into ISAs. This allowance is flexible. You can split it in any proportion between cash ISAs, stocks and shares ISAs, and innovative finance ISAs. Many wealthier savers use a mix or focus more heavily on stocks and shares ISAs for long-term growth. But under the current review, the Treasury is looking at whether too much of this allowance is sitting idle in cash, earning low returns and doing little to support the economy. So one of the options being discussed is to cap the cash ISA proportion at around £4,000 while leaving the full £20,000 allowance still available for stocks and shares ISAs. Importantly, there are no suggestions that existing cash ISA savings will be taxed or restricted. These changes would only apply to future contributions, not to money already held in cash ISAs. The underlying message from the government is clear. They want to discourage long-term cash hoarding and encourage savers, especially wealthier ones, to invest for growth, ideally in ways that support the UK economy. So why now? Well, the government is facing a fiscal squeeze, it's low growth, and there's an urgent need to stimulate the UK economy. They see over 300 billion sitting in cash ISAs earning minimal interest as a missed opportunity. Instead, they want to divert this capital into UK equities, infrastructure and business lending. It's part of a broader agenda from the Mansion House reforms to pension changes designed to push savers towards becoming investors, especially in British assets. The message is subtle but clear. If you're using your ISA purely for cash, you're not supporting the economy. And soon, the tax benefits might reflect that. Let's talk about why relying on cash ISAs or holding too much cash in general isn't always the smart move, especially over the long term. So on the surface, cash feels safe. It's predictable, it doesn't go up or down in value on screen, but there are three hidden risks that erode its value quietly and consistently. And the first is inflation. Even modest inflation of 3% or 4% means your cash loses purchasing power every year. If your cash ISA is earning 1 or 2% in interest, you're falling behind in real terms. This is where the time value of money comes in. £1 today is worth more than £1 tomorrow because of its ability to earn, grow and buy more now than in the future. When you let your cash sit idle, you're allowing time and inflation to quietly reduce its true value. Secondly, we've got bank risk. Now, the Financial Services Compensation Scheme only covers up to £85,000 per person per banking licence. If you're holding large sums, spreading across multiple banks is possible, but it's a headache, and you're still exposed to systemic risk in extreme scenarios. And thirdly, you've got opportunity cost. Cash doesn't compound in the same way that investments do. Historically, global equities have significantly outpaced cash returns over a 10-year periods, even with market volatility along the way. So while cash absolutely has a place for short-term spending needs, emergency funds, or planned expenses within the next 12 to 24 months, holding too much cash over the long term is a drag on your financial future. Inflation, bank risk, and missed opportunities quietly chip away at what feels like safety. In reality, excess cash is one of the biggest risks to long-term purchasing power. So if the government starts to restrict the cash ISA allowance, where should your money go instead? Now, for many, the answer lies in the stocks and shares ISA, and not just for the reasons you might think. A lot of people still assume stocks and shares ISAs are only for high-risk equity investing, but that's outdated thinking. You can now hold a wide range of lower-risk cash-like investments inside a stocks and shares ISA. This includes things like money market funds. These invest in ultra-short-term, high-quality debt and aim to provide returns similar to savings account, but with daily liquidity. You've also got short-dated government gilts. UK gilts with maturities under a year offer relatively stable returns and are far less volatile than shares. While these products are technically investments, they behave more like cash, and crucially, they keep your money inside the ISA wrapper, allowing for tax-free income and growth. So if you're hesitant about the stock market or just want to hold cash temporarily before investing, a stocks and shares ISA is still a valuable tool. And here's the key takeaway. Use your ISA allowance while you still have it. Now, nothing has been confirmed yet, but if restrictions are introduced in the next tax year, you may lose flexibility going forward. So use your own £20,000 allowance if you can. If you're married or in a partnership, make sure your spouse or partner uses theirs too. And don't forget, you can also use junior ISAs for children, giving them a head start while sheltering family wealth from future tax. Stocks and shares ISAs are no longer just for stock pickers. They're a tax-efficient home for cash-like returns and long-term growth alike. And the sooner you act, the more flexibility you'll preserve. Now let's take a step back a minute. In some ways, these changes could end up being a positive shift. Encouraging more people to invest rather than hoard cash is a good thing. Over the long term, investing, particularly in global equities, has historically delivered superior returns, protected against inflation, and created true financial independence. But here's the problem. While the destination may be right, we should be concerned about how we're being nudged or even forced along the path. The UK government seems increasingly interested in directing your capital. First through pension reforms like the Mansion House Accord, and now potentially through ISA restrictions. Now, for example, the UK makes up less than 4% of the global stock market. Why? Well, it hasn't been a strong performer for years. The corporate tax rates are high, and it's seen as less business friendly than other countries like the US. Simply put, there are bigger, better, and more dynamic companies elsewhere. Now, the good news is that for now, there are no plans to limit where you can invest within your stocks and shares ISA. You're still free to invest globally, to own great businesses from the US, Europe, Asia, and beyond, all while enjoying tax-free growth and income. But stay alert. If ISA reforms go the same way as pensions, we could see future restrictions, such as mandated UK equity allocations, reduced or removed tax advantages unless you invest in UK listed companies. Now, this is your money and you should control where it goes, not the Treasury. So take advantage of the freedom that still exists. Maximize your ISA, diversify globally, and keep an eye on government proposals. Because staying informed is how you stay in control. Now, I hope you found this video useful. If you have found some value in it, please give it a like. And if you've got any comments on it, please list them below. I do read from them all and try to answer as many as I can. And like I said earlier, do check out the Regold Wealth Club. Until next time, take care.